I'm very happy to have an agribusiness expert with us today. He is Venky Ramachandran. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Venky.
Hi, my name is Venky Ramachandran. Just a bit of correction, I am not really an agribusiness expert of time. I'm a student of agriculture. I understand a bit of technology, and it's been quite an interesting journey trying to learn agriculture from whatever lens I have been familiar with and exploring this sector, and also it's been quite interesting enough. This journey has led to a lot of interesting discoveries. So yeah, we could get to talk about it.
So let's go ahead.
I mean, where do you want me to start off? You want me to start off from my journey and there, and where do you want me to start off from?
I think we'd like to hear both your journey and what you currently do. It's intriguing. So let's have both.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my name is, I was born in Mylapore, a small, very conservative town in the south of Chennai. I grew up there, and then, like most middle class Indian kids, had a lot of ecumenical faith about engineering, not knowing why we are doing what we're doing, and went on to take up engineering, and if that weren't enough, I also went on to do some management. But life had some interesting eyes. So I was on my way to, I had some very successful cousins. And so I thought my path was also to sort of follow some of their footsteps and go on to work in FMCG sector. Those days, that was the hottest sector in these times. I'm talking about my engineering and college days, just around 2007. But life had other plans. In one of my management institute, I was very lucky to have a very unusual professor turn up in my college. This was a professor who came for a course called B2B marketing. So I was expecting this is going to be about B2B in marketing. But little did they know that this course had was sort of looked like B2B and marketing in the front, but what was inside was a very different conception of a different kind of a course that I could never imagine. Without really sounding too exaggerated, I would say that course single-handedly transformed my life and my career.
Wow.
In many ways, it has led me to my journey from where I am today and what I do currently for a living. This course was actually, this person was an organic farmer, and he was teaching us an exploratory course of how we could explore strategy from the lens of nature. Now, a course like that itself was very outlandish in many ways you could think, and it just had he didn't want to name it in a particular way because that would bring in all kind of expectations. So we called it usual names of B2B marketing and all, but inside the course was something else. So just exploring nature from the lens of strategy and exploring strategy from the lens of nature really unseated a lot of my assumptions about middle class livelihood, class lives, and everything. It really deconditioned me in many, many ways. And I became extremely fascinated by this course and this person. So I ended up going to his farm and started exploring, asking a lot of fundamental questions. So it almost felt like I had fallen into a new rabbit hole. And I was constantly discovering newer things about myself, new things about my life. And so I started, I realized that he was, those are the innocent days of academia and education institutions. I realized that he was teaching in Agribiz school about a course on ecology. Since he was an organic farmer and he has been studying ecology and working in the farms, so he was teaching this course in another institute. So at one point, I was a student of two B schools, taking up courses on weekdays in one institute and going to weekends in another institute and taking those courses. So yeah, in that course, I learned furthermore, and I traveled to a lot of rural parts of the country as part of the course. And somewhere those questions and those explorations stayed with me long enough that at some point I realized that I wanted to delve further deeper into those areas. And so my journey has been that way. And today what I do is I work as an agritech analyst. It's a role that I have coined for myself because as an entrepreneur, uh, I I've been very fascinated by the food and agriculture systems, and I realized that today, with the advent of technology, a lot of our assumptions about how food and food systems are, how agriculture and agriculture systems are today, a lot of those assumptions have been challenged, and we are almost collectively speaking, we are kind of reimagining how our food and agriculture systems are being reimagined, especially the advent of climate change. So I sort of to just kind of document how these things happen and work in the intersection of each of these systems from business perspective. And that's how led to what I do in Agribusiness Matters. It started about 4 years back. It's been a wide fun ride so far.
So tell us something that you are particularly thrilled with, that I did this, it was successful. Something that shows us what exactly do you do that makes you, I mean, the course changed your life, but we don't get the sense of what is the success in the new life, because there's a lot. So can you just enlighten us?
Sure. What does success in this new life mean? I think that's a very interesting question. Maybe so I'll start off from the most immediate ones. So I've been sort of doing what I call as agritech ecosystem engineering, which means that I bring together several founders. I have so far conducted about couple of founders retreats where I've brought together 50 plus founders together in one space and have facilitated a lot of collaborations among them. And prior to that, I've also been organizing for the past 2-3 years. I've been organizing regularly agripreneurs meetings. So I've been facilitating a lot of agri founders and sort of creating a space for them to collaborate with each other. Because I think in a space like food and agriculture, you don't have the regular kind of infrastructure that you take for granted in other industries. So a lot of collaborative efforts have to be come in place. So I create and midwife some of those possibilities, co-create and midwife those possibilities. So that's been largely my work over the last few years. And what I feel very proud about is it has led to a lot of growth in the sector in terms of it has led to a lot of collaborations, very deep, meaningful collaborations. It has led to a lot of people who are working in this journey for them to discover what areas they can work on. And I think in some sense, where you can create meaningful change in the ecosystem. So I think I'm very happy, and I feel consider myself successful that I've been able to design a career around this, which pays me well and which helps me discover ways to motivate youngsters there. One of the other joys of my work is I get a lot of emails from youngsters who write to me that youngsters who are, especially those who are sons of farmers, sons of agribusiness. That typically, if you're a son of a farmer, your father tells you not to work in agriculture.
Yeah.
So it becomes a sort of a question of where does one work, how does one motivate oneself to work, and where can one work. So I've been answering some of these questions, and today when I get a lot of emails from students saying that they feel motivated to pursue a career in food and agriculture, I consider it as something that I can really be proud of.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that, the society, the economy is changing, and society has to change along with it. And these students are young. They don't know, their parents can't guide them because the parents are in another old sector. And now what's the new sector? I think that's a very useful intersection of the old and the new, and the transition to the new. You yourself, I mean, you were not farmer family, but you are helping people transition. So I'm happy about that. What else is exciting?
What else is exciting? Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you rightly framed it out. It's an exciting of old and new together. I spoke in a TEDx platform and spoke about it's exactly this aspect that agriculture is at one end both ancient and also excitingly new, because every time the farmer prepares the soil and prepares the land, it's a new place. Right? And over the past few years, past several years, I've also been very fascinated by some of my studies into yoga, and also been a student of yoga since I was 10. And in yoga, you come across some of these ideas presented in very different ways. If there is in one of my favorite words, this is a word called Purana. Purana is Pura Api Navam, that which is ancient, and Navam is nascent, that which is ancient and nascent. So in some sense, discovering the Puranas of agriculture has been a very interesting journey for me. Because I go back to old texts. I have one of the things that I'm really fascinated by, which led me to also to this journey, is my great grandfathers back in 1908 wrote a book called A Farming Guide.
Mm-hmm.
And this book was published by Nation Press in 1908, and I didn't know, none of my family members knew about this book until several years back, when I discovered the last available copy of it in London Library.
Yeah.
So I have been sitting with that book, working with that book slowly, diligently, with the hope that someday I should become competent enough to translate that book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book it's written in Tamil.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my long-term goals in terms of seeing, can I translate that book in today's context?
Yeah.
This book was written almost what, 1908. It was written 116 years before.
Yeah.
But what is fascinating is when I read it, some of the ideas don't seem dated.
Mm. Yeah.
There are a lot of aspects that you discover when you read those books, and you see that it may seem like written for a different century, but what is the crux of it that is still timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the crux in which that maybe need a new arrangement. So it has implications, right? Today we had a society which was an agrarian society.
Yes.
And so when you are reimagining agriculture, you are almost reimagining the DNA of your society.
Definitely. In fact, that society has to change, and in fact is changing. You see so much migration out of Punjab, and that's the illegal migration to the US and Canada. Some people even die. But that's because the whole agricultural sector is changing, and there's no place for these people in that sector anymore, or the place that they have is not a comfortable place. Anyway, let me not talk. Let me listen to you.
I think it's an important point that you're bringing up. I think one of the reasons why our agri-tech sector is changing and they're not able to find jobs is that we have this collective idea that a future of agriculture is bright only when it has very few set of people who are working in agriculture. Like globally, this has been the trend. Right? You look at top performing countries, it has about hardly 1% or 2% of the people who are employed in agriculture. And because of the examples that we've seen, and this is largely the trend in OECD countries. Right? And because of that trend, everybody assumes that eventually everyone has to leave agriculture. And imagine working in a sector like that. And then if that weren't enough, we also have the advent of technology coming in and saying that it is also going to displace jobs. So there are so many levels of complexity we are dealing with here. So I think that's where this makes the sector very complex, very challenging. And I don't claim to have all the answers here, but I've seen some shoots of optimism, and which requires also a lot of hard choices. And some of these have been sort of areas that I'm very fascinated with. And I because of the work I do as an agritech analyst, I've also been writing about it extensively. So right now, Agribusiness Matters is the newsletter that I run. It goes out to about 35,000 subscribers. It goes out to about 94 countries across the globe.
Wow.
And so So it's not just India. I've been writing about agriculture and its changing dimensions across the globe and fairly to a global audience. While my focus is largely on a smallholding context, which is like countries like India, Southeast Asia, and all of them. But some of these questions have larger, deeper resonance across the globe. Because overall, with the climate change, we are entering a very uncertain new era of agriculture because we can't take the nature and monsoon and the climate change. It's sort of unsettling a lot of our assumptions about agriculture. So they are in really, as they say, the best of good times and the best of the worst bad times.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is certainly very exciting. I mean, the change is there. I talk to people who are in agtech, and they are also talking about, they aren't really not into the production part as such. They are not doers, but they are actually, providing the data through satellite, drones, and so on. So that's also a very, reducing risk basically in ways, and understanding risk in agriculture. So that's what they are focused on, the risk part of it, and reducing the risk by big data, reducing, and where you can't reduce it, at least know what it is to be able to give the normal risk analysis that lenders do instead of, facing some uncertainties that you can't get a grip on. So I talk to those people. Actually, there's a firm in New York. I sometimes have discussions with them, but this is the first time that I'm hearing from a practical. You aren't exactly a farmer, but you are pretty close to them, I take it. So tell us something about your own future. What do you expect it to be?
I right now the future I envisage is to create one-person organizations that can really scale up because of the technology world we live in. I've realized that in my kind of journey, this is currently the future that looks exciting. I don't know. I might change my plans in the future. I'm going with the future with an open mind. But currently, I foresee that I want to scale this what I'm doing and create bigger, deeper, and impacts. The reason where I want to make it like a one-person company is to continuously reinvent myself with the changing times and become the most trusted advisor for world's leading organizations in working in food and agriculture. So while being an advisor and also working on the cutting edge of what is working in agriculture, so I want to be continuously relevant and be the sort of at least influence some of these leaders to take very meaningful, hopefully take meaningful decisions about what kind of future we are going to shape, especially from a food and agriculture context. So that's the aspiration I aim for, and I hope to build that ground through my work, whether it is through consulting or is it through my writing or through my. I also teach. I've been teaching this course called Global Agritech 101. It's again another experiment of mine where I've been. I realized that when I joined this industry, it took me almost several years to. I didn't have any ready-made handy guides to tell me how to navigate this industry. And I realized that I could really provide some kind of a nice Google map that would tell people that, if you want to move from A to B, this is how you could go, right? And give them multiple options rather than telling that. Typically what happens is people who provide Google Maps for agriculture careers tend to show only one map and tell them that is the only way. And in the kind of vantage point that I see a lot of interesting routes one could take to explore whatever futures one could explore, right? And these are not just for youngsters there. These are for people who are founders or investors, or people who are working as executives, and people who are working in policy, people who are working in climate change. There are a variety of newer careers that are embedded around the future of food and agriculture. Right? So what are the pathways that are there that are available? What kind of ways in which you could explore these careers? And what could be a good navigating compass that could help you give a sense of what to look out for? So some of these questions I've been exploring in my course. That's something I'm deeply proud of. I've gotten some amazing feedback, and we are right now almost starting the 4th cohort. We are a small community of 30 plus people who've taken this course and have given very good feedback. So I'm also equally excited about that as well. Because something learning, teaching, consulting, advising, writing, these are some of the areas that I really enjoy doing. So I'm a son of a mathematics teacher. So somewhere I think I have a certain teaching bone in me that somewhere that helps that really excites me and makes me come alive. So I think those are the kind of areas of future I am excited about to see around these areas that I would love to explore further.
And any tips for young people?
Around what?
Whatever, based on your own experience.
I think, today's youngsters I talk to are fine. I don't think they need tips from me. I think they're good. They're asking deeper questions. They're asking harder questions. They're asking meaningful questions. And they're also realizing that their parents don't have the answers. And so they are also seeing that they have to find out their own questions. And so so that's I see that. I think they're good. I don't think they need anything tips from me. For all, I can share my experience in terms of what I have done and what I have done and what I have been my journey. I think today we are living in such exciting times that you can build relationships with anyone and become a permissionless apprentice to anyone. Back in the days, you have to go to find a guru, stay with them, wash their clothes, cook their food, be with them. And it made sense in a certain context. You had even the very word Upanishad is somebody to stay nearby. But I think today we are in such interesting times that we could all be ekalavyas of anyone whom we want to emulate and learn from. Right? We could be ekalavyas to anyone. It could be a farmer working in Africa. It could be a researcher working in any part of the world. And the kind of connected world helps us explore these kind of learnings. But when you have an infinite choice, then it questions of what is the choice that you want to make.
Right.
And so it becomes a question of who am I, where am I, and in doing what I'm doing, what am I really doing? To me, these three are fundamental questions. So it becomes important to for each of us and each of the youngsters, especially to ask these fundamental questions: who am I, where am I, and in doing what I'm doing, what am I really doing? Right? I think these three questions are important navigatory maps. If one continuously asks these questions, perhaps one could discover one's own answers without relying on somebody outside to give them the answers.
All right. Okay, great. Anything else you want to add here?
No, I think I'm good. I think, I mean, I don't have this very fixed identity called a particular youth and an image. I don't have an image of a particular youth or anyone there. So I think, we are exciting times. And I hope to kind of, do the things that I really like to do in the long run and make it worthwhile.
Okay, then let's end it. Let's end the recording here. Let's say bye to the viewer.
Sure.
I'll be back with an expert or a young person soon. Bye till then.